Physics tells us that two objects cannot occupy the same space. It tells us that a wall is solid, and that time only moves forward. But what happens when the rules of reality simply fail? Today, we're examining reports of invisible collisions, shadows that attack from the void, and phantom vehicles that have been driving the same stretch of highway since the 1940s. We have 7 true Glitch in the Matrix stories for you to enjoy. Hi. I found your content when I was Googling around trying to see if I could sort out what happened to me. I'm dyslexic, so normally I would avoid writing anything of length to anyone, but I kind of want to tell people about this. If only so I feel less crazy. I live in an area that was all farmland, but has boomed into a city in the last 20 years, but the farm and marsh areas still fill in whatever hasn't been converted. My drive to work is about 15 minutes, and if I have an extra 5 minutes to spare, I sometimes detour on a route that winds through older neighborhoods and then in between fields. This happened on an older road barely big enough for another car to squeeze by as you drive. I like it though, because I wind through a number of fields where animals are kept. I don't know much about raising livestock, but the fields cycle through cows and sheep. I assume they get moved around to other fields when they've stripped one and come back when more grazing stuff has grown in. Plus, there are some horses that are always there. It's relaxing, and I like seeing the animals doing their things and sometimes a new baby lamb or calf or something. It's a good way to start the day, in my opinion. This happened on Monday. I was driving my old Mazda SUV and creeping slow around the curbs, maybe 15 miles per hour, when I went over a bump. I don't mean like a pothole. I mean like the passenger side went higher than the driver's side, and I was tossed around in my seat a bit. It was loud and really jarring. I could feel my own heart thudding. I immediately put the car in park and looked in all of my mirrors trying to see what I just ran over. I couldn't see anything, and I got out of my car absolutely terrified. I was sure that I must have just hit one of the animals, or, worst case, a person. I circled behind my car and then all the way around, and then got on my hands and knees on the road and looked under. Nothing. Not an animal, or a branch, or anything. I searched the whole area around the road for a minute, still trying to calm my heart. I admit I was doubly terrified because my bank account is always around 0, and I really did not need this right now. But not only was there nothing, my SUV was totally fine. Even the tires. No damage at all. That's when I realized how quiet it was. I mean, dead quiet. No wind or sounds of animals and birds. I looked over the wood and barbed wire fence into the fields around me, and there were no animals. Not weird out of context. Like I said, sometimes the animals are moved around for a bit, but the thing is that before I had stopped, the field to the right had been teeming with sheep. I had literally noticed the sheep specifically right before I hit whatever it was, because I had noticed some of the sheep had been shorn and had paint on them. I think this is normal. I sometimes see sheep with painted symbols on them. I think it's a way for the owner to mark them for one reason or another. For sure, the field had been full of sheep doing their sheep things. I double-checked my own memory, but I was certain that I was not misremembering from another day. I hadn't even gone in this way for a while. The field is big, with scraggly trees, and a homemade fence outlining it. And there isn't a barn or anything. It's a contained area with nowhere for sheep to vanish to. It had also been a decent amount of sheep. It would have taken time for a whole herd to run off somewhere. Instead, the field was empty, and so was the field on the other side of the road. It was totally quiet, like nothing in the world was moving except my feet on the road, and the ticks of my engine as it cooled down. I felt super uneasy and weird. I looked around one more time and then climbed back into the Mazda and just sat there for a moment. My water bottle and a few other things that had been on the passenger seat were now on the floor, having been thrown when my car hit whatever it was. After a bit, I started the car and slowly eased my way down the road. The sound, for lack of a better description, came back when I suddenly could loudly hear banging from the train cars a ways down, as I approached a train crossing. There's like a train loading station a ways down. Then the sounds of the birds and plants and just the air existing were back. Everything was normal, and I was passing cars and bikers as I followed my route to work. I was late to work. The whole thing took maybe 5 minutes, but when I pulled into the parking lot at work, my car clock said that I was an hour and 10 minutes late. That made no sense at all. I had left early, and should have been on time even with the delay. My first thought was maybe whatever I hit caused, like, an electrical issue. I knew my car clock had been correct because I had literally reset the time the day before because of daylight savings. I checked my phone, and my phone confirmed I had lost an hour somehow. Confirmed again when my coworkers joked and asked if I had slept through my alarms, but I hadn't. I drove the same way home that day, very slowly and cautiously, and the only thing of note was that the sheep were in that field just like they had been. Nothing was wrong at all. I'm just kind of confused. I've even checked the local news repeatedly throughout the week in case there was some kind of article about something being hit by a car there, or something, but there isn't anything. I just don't know what to think. Hello there, Raven. Before we begin, I just want to say that I love your podcasts. I listen almost every night to help me sleep. You have a large library of stories, and I hope this helps add to it. Thank you very much. I don't know if the story is a glitch or paranormal, but it is 100% true. I work security. Not a glamorous job, but it pays the bills. 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., night shift people will understand that weird stuff happens from time to time. I've had footsteps all around me and things blow off the shelves at me, but nothing like what I'm about to tell you. We work 12-hour shifts divided into driving and camera duties, aka one person is on the road and checking out multiple properties, while one person is at a base camp watching the cameras for all of the properties. We rotate out every 2 to 3 hours, and this is where it happens. I was on camera duty at this time, approximately 3:30 in the morning, waiting for the driver to come back so that we could switch. So, I grab my gear and sit back down and get ready to put it in, all while verifying on camera that he was at his last stop before returning here for our swap. Without any warning, I hear a very loud and panicked banging on the door, like someone's in trouble. Hard hits on the door like someone is pleading for help over and over. Instinctively, I jumped out of my chair to check on it. There's no good way of describing what I saw when I opened the door. It was just black, but blacker than black. Unnaturally so. Then, before I could even react, something in the shadows of the blackness leaped out and attacked me. That's when I woke up in my chair, fully geared up and ready to switch out with the driver who was still parked at the same spot that he was before any of this happened. I believe some sort of weird time distortion event may have happened. I only gear up when I see the driver leaving the last spot, which is only 2 minutes tops. Not sure what happened, but whatever it was happened in the span of less than 2 minutes, but also felt like a long-ass time. Thank you for your time, Raven. Signed, Pete. When I was at the age of 10 or 11 years old, I was living with my mother and sister in a small suburban town in Pennsylvania. The apartment that we lived in was somewhat small, had an upstairs and downstairs with 3 rooms. The room in which this glitch happened was the master bedroom upstairs. On a cold November day in 2011, my sister and I were home alone and hanging out in her room. After some time, we both run out of our rooms and look at each other in confusion because we had heard 3 loud knocks coming from a door inside the master bedroom. Now, that apartment that we lived in was kind of strange. And the reason I say this is because the door the knocks came from led to a hallway to other apartments within the upstairs building itself. My sister and I carefully headed over toward the door, staring at it, as 2 more loud knocks came through. After they stopped, we slowly opened the door only to find that nobody was there. Now, I know what you're thinking. This isn't a glitch, it's supernatural, right? Well, just hold on a few more minutes there, and let me tell you something that definitely set in stone as a glitch in the Matrix. After we had investigated, we closed the door and stood there for a solid 2 or 3 minutes talking about what the hell had just happened. A moment later, I decided to try something. I opened the door once again. This time, a small piece of the wall to the right side of the hallway had just vanished. Seriously, a chunk of the wall was gone. And my sister and I could see the roof of the building to the back of our apartment building. We snap our heads toward each other, a confused look on both of our faces. I look back at the missing chunk of wall, knowing that what we were seeing was indeed real. We heard the rooftop AC going, all the normal sounds of the town, everything. I closed the door pretty quickly this time. "What the hell just happened?" exclaimed my sister. I replied, just shaking my head in confusion. It felt like an eternity before we could snap out of it, a chill going down both of our spines. I remember taking a look at the door again, just curious as to what it could have been. Being a kid, my mind was running to all sorts of weird places, like parallel universes accidentally morphing with our timeline, somehow messing things up. I thought of a lot of things, and had I said them to anyone else, I would have been committed. Eventually, I snapped out of my thoughts and power walked toward the door one last time, opening it with a great amount of force, only to find that the chunk of the wall was back. Everything was back to normal. Like my sister and I didn't just experience one of the weirdest things of our lives. To be honest, I look back on that moment as the day my sister and I kind of woke up, realizing that there is more to this world than meets the eye. It's one moment neither of us will ever forget, and honestly, it felt kind of therapeutic writing this out. Thank you, Raven, for allowing me to submit this, and I hope that you were as confused as we were. Hi, Raven. A new subscriber here. I stumbled across your channel a couple of months ago, talking about people's stories and glitches in the Matrix stories. I didn't even know what a glitch in the Matrix was until watching your stories, and it dawned on me thinking, wow, so that's what happened all them years ago. Anyway, here's my story. I passed my driving test back in 2009 and got my first car. Nothing fancy, just an old Renault Clio. I showed two of my friends, and they were just as excited as I was, talking about all the places we could travel to now, and all the days out that we could have. All three of us were super interested in haunted buildings, scary places, cemeteries, things like that. It didn't take us long to mutually agree, let's go somewhere scary. And we decided we were going to go to Dumfries in Scotland to visit castles and various other creepy places, as it has a rich history and is only about a 2-hour drive from our house in Newcastle, England. The day before we left, I went to the shop and bought myself a satellite navigation system, as I had no idea where exactly I was going. It was a good one. I paid roughly £160, so not a cheap one. While playing with it and looking online at the route that we would take, I saw that we traveled through a road called A75. It turns out that is known as Scotland's Ghost Road, of strange sightings and reports. We were all super excited. Wow, heading to a scary place while driving on a supposedly haunted road? It's 2 for the price of 1, we joked. So the big day comes, and we set off in the car. Navigation all set up, and off we go. The trip was quite uneventful. Just talking about some places we can go to when we get there and hoping to see ghosts or something scary. But little did we know that it would be something unforgettable. Our minds drifted away from the A75 road. We were just going to be driving on it, so it was never our main intent. It was just an extra. Our main place was Dumfries. So we forget about the supposed haunted road. We don't get too far from our destination, and I, for some reason, ended up taking a wrong turn along the country roads. Very narrow roads. Trees overhanging low on the road to where they were brushing the top of my car. Eventually, the road opens up, and I'm able to get up to speed again, about 60 miles per hour. Not the smartest move, as I have never driven this particular random country road in the middle of nowhere. I'm a much more careful driver now. Following the road while we were still going about 60 miles per hour, my satellite navigation system freaks out. Like when you put a magnet on a compass, telling me to turn left, turn right, U-turn down a non-existent road. While still driving, I'm pressing buttons trying to get it to work again. When I look up and then see some crossroads dead ahead. I slam my brakes on it, but it was too late. I skidded over the crossroads, nearly T-boning a car driving westways on the road. I was traveling north. Luckily, I was able to skid back on the road and missed the nearby wall. It took about 20 seconds to get my thoughts back in place after thinking I just nearly killed us all. My next thought was, the other car. I got out and ran to the crossroads I just flew over to see if the driver was okay. There was no car. No debris, nothing. I checked and ran back to my car and asked my friends if they had seen where the car went, and they said no. There was no way the car could have gone out of view. The road was straight all the way to the horizon. No turnoffs, no places to hide, no ditches or trees or bushes, just a straight road in farmer's field with nothing growing in them. Where the heck did that car go? And why didn't it stop after just getting into a very probable fatal collision? We regained our thoughts and decided that it might have been time to head back home, as we just weren't feeling too excited about visiting Dumfries anymore. So I checked my satellite navigation system, which seemed to be working fine again, and typed my home address in to head back home. My heart sank after seeing where we were at. I had just skidded over the A75, the haunted road I had mentioned earlier. So many questions. Where did that car disappear to? Why didn't it stop? And why did my navigation system glitch out near the most haunted road in Scotland? I'm not sure if this was a ghost car or a glitch in the Matrix, but we all saw that other car. Never to be seen again. Hey Raven, I so enjoy listening to your glitch stories on my way home from work. After 12 hours at the hospital, your stories are exactly what I need. The pleasure is all mine, friend. This is my second food-related glitch. I've had quite a few odd things happen in my life, but this just makes zero sense. Let me back up. I have a weekly gathering at my home with friends and family. We get together to practice music. Rehearsal takes a few hours, so I typically provide dinner. My daughter almost always brings dessert. This week, my daughter called and asked me to please pick up my granddaughter so that my daughter could enjoy a class at her new gym before rehearsal. I agreed and my husband and I picked her up. I asked if she had enough time to put snacks together, and she apologized and said that she hadn't done anything yet. We went to the house with our granddaughter, and I decided to make a quick box cake. Nothing too fancy or hard. Just a quick toffee cake. 3 eggs, 1 cup of water, 1/4 cup of oil. I grabbed the eggs from the fridge, 3 left in the carton, so perfect. My granddaughter stood next to me, ready to lend a hand. I grabbed the first egg and hit it on the granite countertop. The audible crack was loud and unmistakable. I turned the egg over and saw the perfect round dimple where the egg had broken, including small crack lines running towards the center of the obvious dimple. Without thinking at all, I spun the egg crack dimple down to sink my thumbs into the crack to pour it into the bowl. It was gone. I didn't believe it was gone. I mean, who would? I assumed I had overshot the crack and spun the egg in my hand. I yelled for my husband to come as my head literally started to spin. The egg was 100% whole. No dimple, no cracks. I considered the weight of the egg contents must have pushed the dimple back into the original shape. So I pressed all over. No cracks. I flipped the egg away from where the crack should have been. I again hit the egg on the counter, and this time it created a jagged line crack. No dimple. I poured the egg into the batter. Both myself and my husband examined the shell. There were no other cracks noted from inside the shell. I considered that maybe I was remembering cracking another egg, but no. There were still 2 eggs in the carton waiting to be cracked. Just FYI, it is so hard to keep it together in front of your grandchild when your egg randomly fixes itself while you're baking together. Hi, brother, and thank you for the channel, and greetings from the UK. Well, hello to you, Paul, and greetings from Minnesota. My inexplicable tale dates back to 1996, when I was living in the south coastal town of Hastings, UK. I was carrying my 3-year-old daughter back home from a trip out to the beach. We had just rounded the corner onto our street. It was around midday, bright and warm. Suddenly, I noticed a child's hairbrush in the gutter, lying sadly between 2 parked cars. It had a ribbon tied cutely around its handle. I connected with it on an emotional level, but decided to leave it, thinking that the owner would return to look for it. We sauntered on down the street. After what I would guess would be 20 or 30 more feet, I see an exact copy of the original brush lying between 2 parked cars. My ears started throbbing as I spun around. I now had to check out that first hairbrush. Somehow, the street just wasn't long enough and there was no original hairbrush to be found. It sounds like a simple, almost insignificant happening, but it rocked my world. It was a very real event, which would forever make me question the true nature of reality. Annoyingly, I could never remember if the little hairbrush was blue with a pink ribbon, or pink with a blue ribbon. I have a feeling, though, that had it not been for that little hairbrush marker, I may never have realized what I believe to be some kind of realm rip or tear in time. Best wishes to everyone, signed Paul. Hi, Raven. I've been listening for about a year now. I'm a truck driver, and you keep me company during my shifts. It's an absolute honor, my friend. I have a lot of different stories, some of them going back to childhood. I've had a couple different careers and lived in a few different places, so you'll get stories ranging all of those. I figure I'll start with one, and then as I get time to send you more, I'll just keep replying to this email. Let's start with when I was driving tractor-trailer over the road. I used to help on an account in the western United States that ran up and down the I-25 corridor. Most runs took us on I-25, but a lot of the places we delivered were well off the interstate and into very rural areas. I got to be very familiar with the state and county highways in Wyoming, South Dakota, Colorado, and so on. The one run that I did, I was very familiar with. It usually ran at least twice a week, and I would get it at least once a month. I would exit Interstate 25 in Douglas, Wyoming, and then head straight north. I would be on the road for several hours. There wasn't much out there to look at, especially since I did a good part of the run in the pre-dawn darkness. Most of my family's on the East Coast. As dawn is breaking in Wyoming, my family is already awake and starting their day. Oftentimes, my mom would give me a call during her morning coffee. This morning was no different. Right as the sun was coming up, my phone rings. I have my Bluetooth headset ready and I answer the call. My mom and I say good morning, and I get the gossip for the day. She asks me what I'm looking at, and I tell her something along the lines of, I'm looking at the grasslands of northern Wyoming. I then tell her that I'm seeing something pretty cool. Right at that moment, a 1930s or 1940s large sedan has crested the next hill and is coming toward me. Now, my mom is a lifelong classic car enthusiast. She can tell you the make, model, and sometimes even the year of a car from a description. I don't know how she does it. She asks me what it is, and I tell her that I don't know. I have a lot better knowledge of 1960s muscle cars than I do of 1940s sedans. I tell her that I'll give her a better description when we get closer. Now, to set it up, I'm on a very slight downhill, and so is the oncoming car. Based on a rough estimate of our speeds, we're going to meet in the small valley. This is not a big hill. This is just undulating grasslands. I can see this car as clear as day. I tell Mom it's a dark brown or black. It has a long hood and a big grille, along with round headlights. I tell her it looks like a gangster car out of a film noir. She thinks maybe a Dodge, but she's not sure. So, as we approach, something strange happens. You know how if you're on asphalt in the heat coming off of the surface creates a shimmering effect, like a mirage? It almost looks like water. It distorts the image of whatever's behind it, making it slightly wavy. You see this on roads or parking lots in the summers. Now, we're both halfway down our respective slight downhills, and I can see this car. I've already told my mom about this car. I've given her details about what I can see about this car. And then there's a shimmering, like heat distortion. And the car just disappeared. It was gone. And then so was the shimmer. It was just normal again. The conversation with my mom went exactly as you would think it went. Mom?
Yes?
The car is gone.
What?
The car is gone. There was a shimmer and the car just disappeared.
Did you get enough sleep?
Of course I got enough sleep. The bleeping car just disappeared. I was scared as I approached the spot where the shimmer had been and the car had disappeared. But you're not stopping a fully loaded tractor trailer in that amount of space. I drove right past it and literally nothing happened. Nothing else glitched. There was no lost time. I didn't even lose cell service. I just talked to my mom the whole time, trying to get her to understand that the car that I had just seen and described to her was no longer in front of me, and it was no longer on the road, nor was it in my rear-view mirror. She and I talked for a while more, just processing what happened. My mom and I have both had many paranormal experiences, so this was really not too crazy for us. I finished the rest of the trip with no issues. I never mentioned it to any of my fellow drivers, good as they all were, because it's hard enough being a woman in the trucking industry without people also thinking you're crazy. And the rest of that summer helping out on that account, I didn't experience anything else like it. The summer came to an end and that account wound down. I would go back over the road for the winter months. The next summer, that account ramped up and they needed people to help out. Already having familiarity with the routes, my dispatcher asked if I would want to run the account again. The customers were great. My fellow drivers were like family. The routes were pretty easy, and the money was good, so of course I jumped on the chance to go back out. I did that run a few times that next summer, and nothing else happened. That is, until the end of the summer, and I had one more opportunity to make that run before I left for the winter months. I approached the hill, and coming down, I see that same damn car cresting the hill in front of me. I start internally freaking out, but I can't really lose it because I'm in charge of an 80,000-pound battering ram of a vehicle on a 2-lane state highway in the middle of nowhere. The exact same thing happened. The car came down to where it disappeared the first time. There was a shimmer, and the car disappeared at the exact same spot. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know if it's a glitch or if it was a residual haunting. I did what research I could to find out if there had been an accident on that spot. I'm pretty good with newspaper archives, but it was very rural there back in the 30s and 40s. Even more so than it is today. Maybe records weren't kept. There was no memorial on that stretch of highway, and it's not like there was a town nearby where I could stop in and ask anybody. And even if I could, who would remember a car accident from the 1940s? If anybody has any idea or knows the area and it's happened to them, please let me know. So that, my lovely friends, is today's collection of Glitch and the Matrix stories. Stories about the odd, bizarre, and strange happenings that exist in our simulation situation. Stories where reality itself breaks apart. Yeah. Several stories about cars this time around. That tends to happen. I swear, whenever I get one, I get like 3. And that's fine. I'm totally fine with that. Just an interesting point to note is all. And yeah. Of course, I want to say thank you to each and every single one of these lovely people who sent in their stories. Without you guys, this video wouldn't be possible. If you have a story you want to send in, go to astheravendreams.com, click the button to do so, or email it to astheravendreams@gmail.com. While you're there on the site, you can check out the podcast and all the other platforms and on my social media links, as well as scary fiction stories that I've written. If you liked this video, please do hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. That'd be amazing of you to do. Never expected, always appreciated. Just as well, I never expect but always appreciate people who join the channel memberships by hitting join down below, or Patreon, which is linked down below as well. both for as little as $1 a month, $1 do. You get early access to content like this and other things depending on which one you sign up for and how you sign up. Of course, again, never expected. Today being the 1st of December, that's crazy. I want to let everyone know that starting next week, most likely, I will be giving out the information for this year's Ask Me Anything. It was requested by my Spotify audience that I do one of these again, so looks like I'll be doing another Ask Me Anything this year. I think the last one was 2023, so I will also be opening up the P.O. box, which I do have one already, but I need to get it out there, for postcards. I have a bunch of postcards that I've had printed. I need to get them sent out to everybody with stickers. So if you send me a postcard, I will send you one as well. I do not expect, nor do I push for them to be here before Christmas. It's more of a greetings for the New Year's kind of thing, if that makes sense. I would love if we could all start 2026 by sending each other postcards to say, I hope 2026 is an amazing year. I hope it is, too. I hope it is. We'll see. The other thing you can do on this week's Glitch in the Matrix video, as well as every other Glitch in the Matrix, every other first Glitch in the Matrix video of the week that isn't a compilation, that's funny I have to say all that, is the Word of the Week. On the screen right now, and a few moments prior to now most likely, is a collection of all the screenshots I took of people using last week's Word of the Week in a sentence. Last week's video was mitigate. The Word of the Week was mitigate. And these lovely people all went above and beyond and used mitigate in a sentence, and to that I say thank you so very much. This week, the Word of the Week is one that's actually harder to use because it's a word that is hard to squeeze into a sentence. But we're going to go ahead and shoot for it anyways. This week, the Word of the Week is incipient. I-N-C-I-P-I-E-N-T. It means beginning to come into being or to become apparent. As shown on the screen, there is also an example. That's me saying December is, as of today, in its incipient stage. December is incipient right now. It is the beginning of December. It's coming into being. It is here, technically, but it's the very beginning of it, so. Good luck. Use incipient, get featured next week. All that said, my friends, I hope you have a lovely rest of your week, and I hope I see you again here very soon. But until then, remember that you are loved. You are valid. You are important. You're the best you that you can be. Don't forget it, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Until next time, my friends, much love, and sleep well.